What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live composing show. I am your host, Stephen Melin, music composer for 2D adventure games. I'm so excited to have you here with us today. Now, normally here on the channel, Become a Game Composer, we have these live composing show streams every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, this week is a little bit different. I thought I'd sneak this one in on a Monday morning, so I know that's going to throw some of you off. But I also hope that allows others of you who normally can't be a part, that you can be a part of it today. So the reason behind the schedule change is, well, let's be honest, this season is a little crazy. I have to kind of take every week into inventory, just with lots of moving parts with my family. Some really cool notes. At least down here in Atlanta, Georgia, there are a lot of things opening back up. I don't think anyone is pretending that, you know, the COVID season is over completely, but I know that down here in the South, it's a little bit more lax and there's a lot more places opening up, which is really, really nice. And so at least in my little world over here, there are some summer camps that are actually opening up. And so this week I have one of my daughters who gets to go there, which is really cool. And so just kind of flip-flopped my schedule a little bit here this week to make space for that, which I think is super cool. And meanwhile, 3 of my other kids are at a different situation. It's just really cool. So I'm excited that we have this space here this morning, and I hope that this serves you well. So what's going on? Let's see. Here in my world, I'm actually working on a brand new game today. This is called Soromos. That's kind of the tentative title. It might change. It might be The Legend of Soromos or something different down the line. But this game is kind of in that mid-development phase. Right now, it's not exactly an early game. So like the developers have been working on this for a little while. It's not just an idea, right? They actually have artwork. They have some gameplay. This game is being made in Game Maker Studio. Many of you have written for games that use that, and I've done that before. And GMS usually has a little bit more limitations than some other software like Unity or Unreal. Specifically, when I deliver music, I actually have to deliver actual loops. I can't deliver an OGG file, which gives me a little bit more freedom. I can't really give a WAV file, so it has to be very specific, like a small MP3 that loops, basically. So when I'm composing, I have to make sure that the reverb tail, I'm getting very technical here, but some of you care about this. The reverb tail actually has to be embedded into the beginning of the track, or you have to create 2 separate tracks and then use the engine to play first time, second time. So you have to really be creative because GMS is pretty limiting, but it's also a really cool program just for programmers. It's very easy to use. So it's kind of like GarageBand for game developers, so to speak. So it's very simple, easy to use. But hey, what's up, Lee? What's up, Andre, David, a bunch of others popping in here. I'm excited because today, I'm always excited. Come on, let's be real. But I'm excited today specifically because it's a brand new game. I just love the inspiration of working on a new game. And so I do want to show just a tad bit of the artwork that we're using here. Pop over here to my folder. So as you can see, it's a puzzle platformer style game. I can't zoom this in, but you can kind of get, maybe I can. There we go. You kind of get the idea how you're like this little elf dude, and it's a puzzle platformer. You kind of see how there's placeholder art in here. Let me kind of scroll through some of these. This is probably my favorite picture that I like to use as a reference point because as you can see, it has Mr. Elf Dude. I'm guessing his name is Soromos. I don't know. But essentially, you're inside of a tree trunk and you're trying to, climb up ladders and fight little baddies and stuff. You see a lot of environmental type objects. So you have like rocks and mushrooms and like little bits of water and plants and stuff. So it has a very specific tone to it, obviously very fantasy based. And it looks pretty cool to me. And I already can draw some inspiration from this. And so what I'm doing here today is I'm writing a demo track for the tree trunk stage. Just talking with the developer, had some options if I wanted to choose between like writing the main menu, writing like the title screen, or some other bits and pieces. But I decided that for the very first track, I wanted to pick an actual gameplay moment. And this is my suggestion to any of you. If a game developer asks you right up front, hey, this is the first, like, which of these would you like to tackle first? I would strongly recommend that you tackle the an actual gameplay level, because there's something very different about trying to write like a main theme or a main title that you really can't do justice until you've written all the other music. It's kind of like coming up with the title of a book before you've written the book. It doesn't really work. You should really write the content and then let the content inform the title, right? So in this case, with a game, I feel like you should tackle something that's actually in the game, that you can like really get into the nitty gritty of what makes, instrumentation wise and meter and atmosphere, whatever. It just gives you the opportunity to really tackle the most important elements that help separate that game from other soundtracks. And so that's my goal here today, is to write this tree trunk stage. I'm going to do a 2-minute loop over the next couple hours or less. We'll see how quickly I can get through that. But I have some ideas already generated that I think will help as we go through here. Hey, what's up? Pawn, Sean, well, 2 different people, Pawn and then Sean and Wash, a bunch of other people's. You guys are awesome. I do want to, one of the questions in the chat says, what's your opinion on the Westworld results? Don't ask me about it. I'm very bitter. Very bitter. I have had some discussions about that. I really don't want to go on a rant. I could very easily go on a rant here. If you want my honest thoughts, I do not like what they decided as the winners, because I felt that they chose the winners based on the compositions themselves. Like it feels to me like they literally listened to the music by itself, but they didn't care about the film scoring, which is just a bummer to me, because film scoring is all about letting the scene take the forefront, not the music. And I just feel like the competition itself did not lend itself, because they didn't have very clear criteria about what they were actually judging on. So I've had some discussions with some guys, and there is a pretty uniform opinion that this was not the best situation. I'm really big on organization and setting clear rules and things. And I just think with 11,000 entries, come on, there's just no way. I think if it was me, I would have set up the competition to only last like 3 days. That way you get 100 entries and you're done. And you can actually watch them all and judge them all and whatever. The cream of the crop will still rise. But I think when you get 11,000 entries and you only really get to watch like 50, maybe 100, it just, the results are so unbelievably skewed and unrealistic that it makes my blood boil just a tad. Anyway, but I think it was a cool experience for everyone who participated, so that's good. Okay, so back to the show. So Lee says, are you going to do 8-bit? Maybe. That's actually a fair question. He said he was joking, but I do think that there's you could do 8-bit with this. The developer specifically said that they're really inspired by the Commodore 64, which I think is such a cool influence, because it's kind of like that PC sound of the 80s. It's a very different sound than the NES or the Sega Master System or any of the other 8-bit consoles of that era. The C64 really had a very computery sound, and I think that would be a cool direction to go, to use maybe like some triangle waves versus saw waves, to use more of like pulse waves versus the typical Super Mario sound, right? That's super 8-bit as we call it. But I think there's some really nice sounds that you could get out of C64. And for that, I would just grab Super Audio Cart. But I have a different idea. And I'll dive into the piece so we can talk about it. But yeah, DJ Adam. Oh my gosh. You guys are funny. They said, Ramin Djawadi, who's the composer for Westworld, would have been fired on the spot with that track. No joke. And for those of you who watched my Westworld live streams, thank you. I think those were my highest watched live streams ever, with like 6,000 plus people, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it's just super cool to have the support and be able to ask lots of questions and that kind of stuff. But long story short, that is something that, Ramin would have been fired on the spot, because it just, none of those, in my opinion, is just such an subjective thing. But in my opinion, I don't think any of those, maybe one or two of those winners' entries actually served the picture. But even listening back, the music was so loud and covering up all the dialogue that it just, I've worked in enough film. And yes, for those of you who know, in this channel, I'm now focusing 100% on games, so we don't even have to talk about film. But in my experience working on professional films and documentaries and things and going through school, it's like the cardinal sin of film scoring is to overwrite, or is to write on top of the dialogue instead of serving the picture as a frame or as a border. So I'm just rolling my eyes through the whole thing. So anyway, let's move on, because I'm just going to get really upset if I keep talking about it. But yes, Sean, the SID chip, that's the C64 chip, which is just fantastic. It has a very crunchy sound. And so what I'm trying to do with this soundtrack is I want to create a warm sound out of crunchy sounds. Does that make sense? Out of bright sounds, because the C64 was very bright and very in your face and like offensive in a way. So what I want to do is use effects like reverb and delay and B2 and stuff like that, just to make sure that we can make a very interesting and creative, dramatic soundtrack in the midst of that. And we'll get into the details in 1 second. A couple more comments and we'll dive in. Timmy says, I made a bunch of one-shots sampling Commodore sounds. It would be cool for this project. That's super cool. You want to share it? No, I actually don't. I don't want it. That's very kind of you, but I'll tell you why when I open up the session. And then DJ says, come on, man. What? Cayman Man 1 was death metal, the other. Okay, sorry. Your spelling threw me off. Yeah, one was death metal, one was waltz, and then Super Mario. Yeah, the winners were all over the place. I'm just leaving it behind. I'm moving on. Let's change subjects. All right, here we go. Let's jump in. So here's what I have so far. I've generated 2 ideas for this tree trunk. I think I like idea number 2 better. I think it lends itself better to being more creative and more atmospheric, but I will still play, since you guys are here, I want to play my original idea based on the art, and then maybe get some thoughts from you. And I am going to mute a couple things just because this was very, very experimental to start off with, but I think you might enjoy this. Here's what I have so far. Kind of took that idea, which later listening back, I was like, dude, that's really close to Celeste. It's that atmospheric harmonic minor vibe, which makes it maybe too on the nose. I don't know. But and then I also added some piano. But check this out. This is just the coolest thing. For those who have not seen my review of B2, which is a really fancy experimental reverb by 2C Audio is the company. If any of you are actually still interested by the end of this stream, if you want to shoot me an email, I can actually give you a voucher for $20 off, if that's something that interests you. Random side there. But yeah, it's like a special effects generator that can turn just about anything into a pad. So any kind of harsh sound, like a piano sting, boom, it like turns into this crazy thing. It's just pretty cool. So if I take a super low note like this, and that's so ominous and amazing. It feels like a tree trunk, like this huge atmosphere. So you kind of, mix that around a little bit. You can get this kind of sound, which I added in. right? But then I also threw a massive pad. So massive is just this beautiful engine here. For anyone who's familiar with Disaster Piece and all of his soundtracks, like Fez and Hyperlight Drifter, he uses massive pretty much exclusively on 100% or 90% of his tracks. He creates his own patches, and so I've taken akin to that idea, and I just think it's one of the coolest ways to make your own unique patches and your own unique sound. So I did that and played around with it a little bit and came up with this like this warbly wah 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 pad. That's so cool. And you put that together with that piano, and it's just a cool sound. And hey, Noble, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, today is a little bit weird. My normal stream day will be Thursdays at 12 p.m. Today, I had to shuffle my schedule around this week, so we're doing it today instead. Weird time, I know. So, and also a quick little side note, this little wood blocks thing that I made is actually, you'd never guess this, it's a cowbell from Koji. You know, my favorite 16-bit plugin. And I promise I'm not trying to sell stuff to you right now, but if this is something that interests you, I love Koji. Just some really cool, authentic 16-bit Super Nintendo sounds. Super duper cheap. You can grab that. Send me a little message. I'll shoot you a 20 or 40% off, something like that. 50% off. Yeah, that's what it is. 50% off coupon for that they have given my audience. Have a whole review on there on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. And that has helped a lot of you guys. I think it's I don't want to say it's better than Super Audio Kart, but Super Audio Kart is not really meant for Super Nintendo. There's like a little selection of Super Nintendo stuff, but it's more like Sega Genesis and Commodore 64 and NES. It's like a shotgun approach of being good at everything, and then it kind of fails at everything because it doesn't go deep. But Koji is like exclusively Super Nintendo, which I think is really cool. Anyway, so I took that and I threw this stereo delay on it and just creates this really cool woodblocky sound. Oops, just kidding. Let me go to my screen over here. So I actually put a pretty significant EQ on it. Put a stereo delay on it. And then also threw it into a reverb. So that's why it has that atmospheric. Like that. And it's just a cool sound. And I just felt that it's a tree. We're in a tree trunk, so we got to do something, right? That kind of symbolizes that sound. So yeah, Noble, I would definitely go for Koji over Super Audio Kart. So yeah, if you want to sift through my YouTube videos, just type in my name, Koji, it'll come up. You can grab that discount. It's pretty cool. Anyway, the last little element I added here is I just took a piano sound, but I threw an EQ on it to just get the high frequencies. And then I put B2, a different patch on there, a different effect on there. And this one is called Heavenly Host. It's just so cool. You can turn any of these things into a pad. So I took a piano and threw that crazy reverb nonsense onto the top of it, and it creates this ethereal sound. And one of the notes from the dev, he specifically asked for, he wants balance of dark and light, because it's kind of a darker story, even though it's, you know, colorful and beautiful and whatever. It's kind of this more menacing story of this I guess wizard elf guy. I won't get to the story there, but just he's traveling to this tree trunk, so it's supposed to have this like big size of high sounds and low sounds to help fill in that magnitude, I suppose. And so I feel like having low piano and high piano at the extremes with these like warbly delays and stuff helps. So here it is in context. And, 3 4 actually am using C64 drums from Super Audio Kart. So that part's authentic. And I guess I didn't even mention that I'm using a triangle wave from C64 as well. So I am using that here from Super Audio Kart. But there is a free option I should probably share with you guys. I'm not using it here because I do think Super Audio Kart is a little bit more expansive, but if you want a free option for C64, anybody out there, there is a C64 patch that has a ton of stuff. Let's see if we can figure out the company. Synthesizer Sessions Deluxe by Rhythmic Robot. So go download that for free. You'll get a lot of cool patches out of that you might want to use for free instead of having to buy anything. Just saying. Free is awesome. I love free stuff. Okay, anyway, so that's kind of idea number one, and I like it, and it has potential, and I'll probably share it with the dev anyway, just because, hey, would this work in a different area of the game, or would this, don't waste it. It's worth sharing, and maybe they like it better. Maybe they like that faster, melodic approach better. But my other idea was to take traditional sounds like strings, which this is just the most basic patch in all existence. It's a pretty crappy string patch all by itself. I just play it. Just, kind of a garbagey orchestral whatever. That's the Contact Factory library, nothing special. But to help prove a point today, I want to show you that with a powerful reverb or delay or just the mindset that you can make free things work, I've thrown a drift, which is a patch within B2. Again, this is the reverb engine. This thing is just incredible. Now listen to what this sounds like. Isn't that crazy? Now it sounds like a $300 string patch from some expensive company, right? Don't allow a limiting mindset hold you back. You can be creative. You can make cool stuff out of free stuff, right? So that's kind of my challenge to myself on this track today is I want to use basic things like just a simple piano patch, but I want to morph it into something a little bit more interesting. So what I've done so far is this. I've just taken the triangle wave, put a delay on it, create a little pulse, and then I'm just throwing this pad that we've created, a piano pad, like that, and then take the string pad. And I think that's going to be pretty cool when we put it together. Isn't that so interesting? Like, it's so basic. It's three things, but it has such atmosphere and interest. Because really all I'm doing is I'm playing 4 chords, but I'm really spacing them out and letting the B2 do the heavy lifting of helping to fill all that space. And just having that ostinato in the background, that boom, 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 it helps to drive the motion. And then from there, maybe we can add some wood blocks or some other things. That's all I've generated so far. But I feel like this is a better direction to go because it allows me to create more long form music. The dev did express that They would love to have more like 5 or 6 minute long loops instead of just a traditional 1 or 2 minute loops. And this might be an easier way to get there because it's technically slower. It's actually not a slower tempo. It's just a slower rhythmic form. It allows us to just do way more than a fast piece of music that just, when you rely on melodic content, it could really suffocate the interest. So if we're trying to create this big atmosphere, I think this is going to be the route to do it. Because even with just 3 things, the strings in the middle, the high piano, and then the low bass, it creates this intensity that makes you want to keep walking and exploring. This is very much the Super Metroid way, the Metroidvania way of writing music. And I feel like, I'm not sure this has been quite, you can't call this a Metroidvania, but this is a platformer, and platformers usually drive off of energetic music. And so if it can be atmospheric on top and then energetic below, that might be a cool blend. So that's kind of my rationale behind that. So let's keep going. And for now, let's turn this into a 2-minute track by looking down at our time code. It's currently at 1:25. So let's pump this thing to 3:25, which won't even take long. I mean, look, we've already written half, maybe not half, but a quarter of the track just with those 4 chords. So you can see how it's not going to take much to make a longer track today. So I do want to at least put a few markers here. So let's call this the A section. And let's kind of spread these out. And I do want to make that gold. I like to color code these a little bit to help my eyeballs, my old ancient 30-year-old eyeballs. Just kidding. But, age is a thing. All right, so let's move this guy. I'm thinking right about here. We can just continue with it. I don't think we've only done 4 chords, and yet we've already taken up 45 seconds. That's insane to me, but that's just good slow writing. So I am going to chop this up. I'd like to see, I guess I have to quantize this. That's fine. So if we quantize all of this, chop it up, and then just duplicate it, then add some kind of melody of some sort, it should work. That's kind of what I hear would make a nice something like that with delay. Something with some syncopation in there. Dun 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 dun. Ugh, are those 30-second notes for real? Wow. Alright. So for something like this, I only played it correctly once. That's fine. In time, so all I'm doing is copying and pasting the correct measure, and then copying and pasting a bunch. And Noble asks a fantastic question about pricing. About, should you charge more for a melodic track versus an ambient track? And no, I think you should just have a flat rate for all of your music. Keep your life simple. No one cares or knows the difference. And it's some tracks need to be fast, some need to be slow, and there's just no reason to get into the weeds of that. It's the same reason I don't charge more for a full orchestral piece with live instruments versus a solo piano piece. The orchestral piece could take 50 hours of work versus 30 minutes of work for the piano. it's just how it goes. Because I do this art to do the art. However, there's a business beside it too. And you have to, the more you can be consistent, the easier it is to price. Like, the more choices you give your clients, the less you will get hired. That is a fact. If you have one price to do one thing exceptionally well, you will get hired because they can't argue with you. They want the results that you're offering for that one price. They'll buy it. But if you start offering, well, if you get this package and you get the orchestral and you get the sheet music and you get they don't even know what that means. Like, stop confusing people. Just sell the thing you want to do and do it well, right? Get paid. It's not hard. I mean, it is a psychological difference. You have to get to that place to be willing to sell, etc. But it's, yeah. I'll leave the rant alone. I'm going to point right there. Go to stevenmelin.com/10 steps and you will read all about it. A small 2-page ebook that could very well change your life. 10 steps to become a game composer. Might sound too simple, but simple usually works. But it has to be a strategy that actually works. It can't just be simple and wrong. It has to be simple and right? Anyway, so I like this idea of adding the wood blocks. Oh, that's funny. Chance, you think it sounds like Mortal Kombat? Might be too pronounced. Might be more fun. You know what this sounds like to me is the Mario Paint Mario head. Isn't that funny? And I'm pretty sure they use that same sound in Super Mario RPG. In his house. I am a VGM nerd, and I'm okay with that. I like the rhythm of it. Dum dum bum 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 bum. But I think it needs a different pitch. I like the idea of a D minor 7 chord. And changing it every other like that. So let's try that. Might be a little bit more interesting. Love that piano though. It's so interesting to me. Boom bum 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 bum. Those triplets, sort of. Maybe they're dotted. They're like dotted 16ths. Da 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 da. They are. They're dotted 30 seconds. Gross. Who would do such a thing? Ugh. I just don't even know. I'm gonna leave that alone for now because it's like it's a lot of work to quantize. really like what we have so far. Might be cool to add some. Something like that, kind of like the garbagey sound. We're close. I want it to be unexpected. I like that off the beat. That's a good groove right there. A little bit off the beat. Cool. It's a good groove, and we can duplicate that out. That's a little small for you peoples. Quite large on my screen. All right, so we're gonna take that, duplicate it a bunch of times. And I think it's such an interesting groove, like an interesting chord progression, even though it's not like complex. You don't need complex all the time. You want the game. It's like our Westworld discussion earlier. You want the game to be center stage, not the music. But the music obviously enhances it and puts you in the world and all that good stuff. You don't have to turn it down for dialogue or anything. That's borderline Mega Man X, isn't it? That's actually a C64 pulse wave. That's all it is. But in classic Stephen Melin style, I've added a EQ like that to really pump it right in the mid-range so it doesn't have any other frequencies. A beautiful stereo delay of 16th notes and 8th notes, and then some reverb. It's a really good combo for getting that Mega Man style. And I love patches that allow me to use the mod wheel to increase the vibrato. Uh-uh. Oh, I love Mega Man X so much. Good stuff. Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot to add that missing element, which is good because I've kind of left the mid-range open intentionally to have a melody like this. To write a slow melody though, which is a little bit harder to do. Really the trick here is to, holy Koji, Chance, why'd you say that? Koji's on sale for $10 right now, which means if you use my code, it'll be $5. Wowzer, Bowser. Be a little challenging, but I need to write a slow melody. The trick here is to use the mod wheel to control the vibrato so I can hold out the note for a little bit longer. And then kind of, gradually get into it like a vocalist would. You know what I think this needs is that will force me into this style. Let's pop over to the track and I want to add Valhalla Shimmer. It's the ultimate tool for chorus reverb because you'll hear it in a second. But if I keep it on mono because it's a single, line, it's going to just radically place it very far away. Let me find it. Also has a cool octave shift for the reverb. Here's what I should also do is let's go into the massive engine itself. Let's pop that open. Oh, it's not massive. Darn. I guess I can still do it within Contact. Go to the mod wheel, the modulation down here. Don't know why there's 3 things going on, but let's see. As if we haven't done enough damage to this sound. Yeah, so David in the chat says, I'm feeling like this needs some stingy chords in between the phrases of the melody, if you know what I mean. I think you're talking about just some kind of pulse thing. I like that. Let me play for a minute. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just kind of propose a B section here. We'll fix it, guys. We'll get there. Is that seriously 2 minutes already? That's nuts. How fast this thing is. So maybe we can over deliver with a longer track. What a cool like extra pad that was just added by using Valhalla Shimmer. Bada, and then back to B. A little bit of fun modulation in there with some space. Very different character. Da da bada bada bada. Interesting. Sometimes you just gotta try some stuff. See if it works. 'Cause you never know till you try. Alright. Looking good, sounding good. Too muddy. And hey, thanks, Daryl. Appreciate that. Hey, thanks for the sub, Mike. Appreciate it. So here, these are all 16ths and then triplets. So it's a little tricky to quantize everything, but I'm going to try to first slide everything over, and I want to select, see, dun 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 dun, triplet, dun 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 dun. So essentially I need to collect just the last 3 notes of each second measure. As fun as that sounds. You know what you're looking for. It's not that crazy. But yeah, I'm just going to go through there, collect the last 3 notes of each second measure like that. These are all triplet 16ths. Triplet, and then do the opposite by going to each of the alternative notes. And meanwhile, cleaning up any of these little stray notes that got caught. And I'm just holding control while I do this. I slide my cursor around. That way I'm just kind of selecting exactly what I need to. I'm going to quantize everything else as a 16th note. That way everything is peachy. Everything works. Another quicker way probably would have just been to record 1 measure and then change the notes around on each one, but I like to play in each of the parts. That's just personal preference. Let's make each of those 16th notes, and then we should be good to go. Didn't take too long. Everything looks good to me. Here's what it looks and sounds like, especially if I merge these things back together. I'll find that Koji thing for you guys real quick. Actually, I know what it is. Just go to the check. Let me find it. Be faster. Since you guys are asking about it. Do 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 do. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Ba dum ba dum bum ba dum da da dum. Let's see here. I will copy the exact code stuff. There you go. You can read that right there. It's from the video. You're welcomes. I need 2 of these bad boys. I need 1 to be a pulse that's like an ARP, and 1 to actually be a melody. One's called a lead, one's going to be called an ARP. That way 1 can be shorter. So, the purpose of this is I can actually play a melody on top of that. So, I want to make this ARP-y ARP here a lot different. Like one of these shorter, like pulse sounds. Haha, Genova's theme. Let's, aw, poop. That's no good. I don't know why. If you allow me to post in the comments later, the Koji, I'll get that for you. Sorry. cool. So I like, yeah, that is so funny. The Genova is. That's Genova. I'm doing a D major, not a B minor 7. I'm going to turn down some of this extra. Kind of like. Seems to be way less. The Valhalla. Just a nice little flavor on top, I think. But I've got to turn that totally down. Like right here. Nah, guys, I do think my code will work. It's just linked to the wrong page. Because they've done those discounts before. Much better range for that. So I chose like a bright, whiny sound, but then snuck it into the mid-range versus the high range. It allows it to cut through, but to feel very backgroundy. There you go. Getting too happy. So the thing is, I'm on a D major chord. I need to sneak in like a 9. Hey, thanks for the sub, Mattia. So tricky. like that idea. Very subtle. Let's play around a little bit. Yeah. Kind of a paddy feel. So let's see if what we can do with some of this goodness. That might be super cool to take something like that. And let's ride in an automation. Let's try having some fun. Like some of that. Let me get rid of the first half of it. That's more interesting to me. It's little subtle colors. Cool. So I'm just taking all this EQ stuff and kind of dragging it up a little bit. Just kind of atmospheric, you know, goofing around on that chord. Isn't that nice? It's like swimming underwater now, this part. And Noble, you don't have to worry about the previous track. I haven't changed any parameters of that. I don't know how I feel about this B section. It feels very out of place. But I really like this A, both of the A's. I like that subtle entrance, just kind of groove just comes in. Oh yeah, let's get a little something. I don't want a cymbal. I just think it's a little too on the nose. Let's just do a reverse noise. These are the best in any type of chiptune stuff. So just go to massive, grab a noise generator down here in the bottom, and we're just turning it up and making it a white noise. Oops. And then we turn down all of the other junk. Hear that? Obviously it's very loud, so we can turn it down. And then we just go over to envelope 4, drag 4 into, oops. How do I do this? I think I literally just go to 4 and then drag the attack. Yeah. Like that, and it helps it to kind of swoop in. Like that. As long as you turn the decay off, it'll literally stop when you let go. Like that. It's a really cool swoosh sound to replace with a traditional cymbal swell that you might use in orchestral music. Kind of like that. But these C64 drums are a little weak. Chance, you know it? Yes, absolutely. I think I prefer Massive, the original, over X. I just know how to use it better. So I haven't put the time into X yet. What's up, Thiago? Let's see if we can find a good lead, C64's lead for this A section. Let's go the saw route. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's grab an EQ. Might want to go triangle for this. Just have more beef in the middle. Cool. Bring the volume back up. Let's add a stereo delay to it. And a reverb to it. Hopefully that can cut through enough. Modulate this entire B, or transpose rather, this entire B section to start on a G chord into a D chord. Let's see if that helps. So we're currently on a D, so let's go 1, 2, 3 down. There we go. See how that feels. Let's help keep some of these chords in order. That because it goes from minor to major in the bass. Ba-da-da-da-da-dun, dun, then it's major. This is hard to find a melody, but it's cool. I still like the progression. Promising direction. Cool. Very peaceful. I like this. one of those situations where less is more. There's just really no melody I can put on top of that. That would be better than the current piano thing. I like this idea of putting strings in here too. Trying to figure out what I can change with these chords because it's not working. It's too happy. It's too corporate. Ooh, this is tricky. And thanks, David. I like those two. The drums. Just grab a normal piano so I can sketch an idea. So just be for sketching real quick. Where are you? So what's happening is I'm doing too many major chords, like this. It has this like overly inspirational value, which we don't want. It needs to stay dark and light at the same time. So a good way to do that is to do seventh chords because that's a major and minor at the same time. Like that, right? Because it's a G major and a B minor. Chordal harmony. It's very Debussy or Bartok. That's cool because it doesn't really have a tonality. So here we go. I do this a lot. It's fine. I think the B section is a decent idea. It's a half-baked idea, though, and it doesn't fit this particular moment. So I'll slide it over there for some other day. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what we need. Oh, it's going to be so gorgeous. You ready for this? called a quartal harmony because everything's based in fourths instead of fifths. So I'm literally playing E, A, then another fourth, A, D, and it creates this. If you do them in parallel motion, creates this very haunting feel. It doesn't feel major or minor, it just kind of feels open and ambiguous, which is really cool for this vibe, especially when you start using these reverb channels. So give space. Nope. So what I want to do here is, to help with the ambiguity, I want to do uneven measures. So instead of a 4 count, 4 count, 4 count, I want to do like a 5 count. So here we go. Rest. Rest. Then it repeats. I did make a mistake though. I accidentally did a quintal harmony, which is 5 versus 4, and I messed that. I'm gonna replay the last two. It's just easier than trying to fix all the notes. Rest. Cool. And then we go to the B2 section. So let's get all that together. I think it's going to be really cool. It'll allow us to kind of stay in the same vein as the A section, but obviously different notes, versus just going an entirely different direction. I don't think it calls for that. It kind of steals the show if you go too much out of the way. So let's fill it out. The E. A, B. Then repeat. And notice those last two actually change the bass note, which makes it even more interesting. Cool. It'd be fun to analyze sometime. Basically polytonality, what do you call it? Bitonality, where you have two different chords on top of each other. This would be cool to maybe only do on the second repeat. So let's chop those up real quick. Give the space. And then in the loop, right there. I'm not really sure how to do these drums to make them a 5-bar count. Maybe I can extend it a little bit like this. Whoops. By, like chopping up the second one, moving it, and repeating the first one. That way it's 6 bars. 3 bars. Sorry, 3-bar phrases instead of 2. Like this. Here's the loop coming up. Cool. Let's get some strings in this big old Oh, what a fun sound. All right, let's copy and paste that. Cool stuff. Remember how crappy those strings were before using B2? So cool. Thanks, Chris, for the sub. I like that, just kind of having a low B hanging out there in the background. Maybe every like 8 bars or something. I like that. It just helps to add the environment of being wood. Dun dun. Very subtle pum pum. Should be just 8th notes. Maybe they're 16ths. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, they're 16ths. So let's just copy those throughout the whole track. That should be easy to do. Just like that, just kind of copying 4 at a time. I try to shape these strings to be a little bit less intense, a little bit more body, less brightness. I'll get some bass in there. Doing my own chords here. the bat, so just took a little something like that. Hey, thanks, Travis. Yeah, we changed the channel name here. They're all 30-second notes. Yippee skippy. Getting fancy up in here. For this, let's go back to just controlling the automation. I think it's going to come across better that way, to kind of roll it. Cool. I think we have our track. I think it is ready to go. And hey, what's up, Arfo? Man, over 300 people popped into this live stream today. I appreciate that, guys. You guys rock. So Arfo is asking, what's my favorite synths to craft these sounds, like leads and pads and stuff? I'll take anything and I can turn into a pad with some good reverb, a delay, things like B2 by 2C Audio. And again, not an advertisement, but if that's something that interests you guys, I think B2 is pretty phenomenal for creating ambient music like this. I use it on almost all of my tracks here today. I have $20 vouchers for you to use on 2C Audio. If you want to do that, just send me an email, steven@stevenmelin.com. I'm a partner with 2C Audio. It doesn't cost you anything, but just helps support my business as an affiliate link. And also I used Koji today. There's a link somewhere. I'll post it in the comments once I get off here. Some of you were asking about that, and it's like $10 right now. But if you use my code, it'll be 50% off, which would be $5 for a really cool plugin. So take advantage of that. What else? I don't know. I feel like this was a good lesson today in simplicity and kind of scaling back. Don't try to override. Don't try to add too many melodies. Because even looking at the track right now, I had every intention of writing these lead melodies on top, but I didn't, because it turned out to just like do too much. And really this piano reversed pad is really the hero of the day. It's really where all of the melody is. very simple, but it really carries the whole thing. It doesn't really need... I mean, I could go that direction, but it kind of steals the ambience of it all. I might, but that's up to the developer, what they want. So I'll toss this by them and see what they think. I might even play the first little version we did at the beginning, just to kind of show two different possibilities of what we can do with this track. But anyway, so yeah, Arfo. I also use a lot of Massive, which is what Disaster Piece uses almost exclusively on his tracks, like Fez and Hyperlight Drifter. So if it works for him, it's good enough for me. It's a really powerful synth engine. You can create your own sounds. And just use some C64 sounds here today from Super Audio Cart. So I'm kind of using stuff from all over the place, but the default sounds are not what I want. I have to morph them. And you can look over here real quick at my track list here. You see how everything has an EQ on it. Everything has some kind of delay or reverb. And it's just kind of moved to taste. And you can create some really cool stuff, basically transforming them into new sounds, which I think is a lot of fun. But anyway, let's play the final work in progress of Tree Trunk from Soromos. And I look forward to seeing you guys later. This will be my only YouTube video of the week, just because I got a lot going on this week, and that's okay. I'll be back next week. Likely, I'm going to try to be at the normal time on Thursday, and then we'll get back into the normal upload of videos. But I've just been a lot of business change, and you guys have been following me. Obviously, the name of this channel has changed to Become a Game Composer, but I'm also doing a lot over at the new website, becomeagameComposer.com. There's a free community there for you guys if you want to be a part of that to help grow with other composers. And as mentioned earlier today, right down here, go to stevemelin.com/10 steps, and that is where you can download my free $17 value ebook. It's just a little 2-pager. All of my years of experience and sales and working with game developers all kind of wrapped up into 10 steps, and that's it. It's very actionable advice, and I hope that can get you some wins today and get some more gigs. So appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day, and I will play out with Tree Trunk from Soromos, and I'll talk to you next time.